Hi. See that? We're starting off really sad. Hi, this is Rob Anspach, and my fellow compatriot here, the guy responsible for making me what I am. That's terrible. But, I have with me today Tony Policci, who is just a phenomenal copywriter, jokester, and a man I think everybody should get to know, not only because of his fun side, but the way he uses words in his marketing and his direct response copy that just brings things alive to compel somebody to want to buy their product. So Tony, welcome. And now that you just ruined my whole intro and made me crack up, what do you have to say about that?
Rob, I am profusely sorry for my poor timing in adjusting my laptop height there. I'm just looking at you with the beautiful tree behind you and thought that I should try and create an equally attractive view for your listeners on my side, and my timing is just impeccably bad. So I think you recovered very well, though, so I'm extremely impressed.
Now, I've known you since 1998. Yep. Tell the listeners how you got into marketing and what the ABCTNT stands for in your website.
Okay, I got into marketing by accident because my younger brother was studying marketing, and he had gotten a hold of this newsletter from a guy named Gary Halbert, and he was reading it, and he said, "You got to read this newsletter. Listen to how this guy talks." And I read it, and I thought, "Wow, that's pretty cool." I said, "Where'd you get this?" Because I just subscribed to it, and at the time it was $197 a year for 12 issues, and I thought he was absolutely nuts. It was like 8 pages of white 11 by 17 white paper folded in half with black print, and I thought, "You're paying $197 for this?" So, that shows how naive and stupid I was when I first started. But that was my introduction to direct response marketing. And the ABCTNT stands for Absolutely Brilliant Concepts. And my little tagline is Simple Strategies, Dynamite Results. So that's where the ABCTNT comes from.
So what lessons did you learn studying Gary Halbert?
Well, I learned that everything that I was taught about writing correctly in school was useless when it came to writing in a way that would compel people to actually take action and buy things. I learned about robotic methods of marketing, duplicating yourself. Writing copy is a way to leverage yourself and take your message to hundreds or thousands or millions of people. It's salesmanship in print is really what great copywriting is all about. So I learned that there were techniques that we could use to actually compel people to pay attention to what we were doing with our business and get them to actually take money out of their pockets and spend it. But initially when I started studying Gary Halbert, my intention was not to go into marketing because I was pursuing a career as acting. And so when I started studying Gary, what I was doing was I was taking the techniques of writing good sales copy and using that to promote myself as an actor to casting directors and agents and producers locally. So what I learned from Gary was how to write words that compel people to pay attention and to separate myself from the rest of the crowd with compelling descriptions and emotional language, doing things that, well, I almost said doing shenanigans and it came out doing shins. But yeah, that's kind of a summary of what I learned.
But acting has actually helped with your writing.
Totally. I actually call myself a method marketer, and I thought that was a unique term, but I believe that um, let's see, what is the name? Advertising methods. Uh, trust Eugene Schwartz. I believe Eugene Schwartz used a very similar term, but there's another very high level A-list copywriter um, who is um, either very old or no longer with us who used that term, and I just discovered that about a year ago. But yeah, I see. As an actor, I studied Stanislavski's technique, and I became a method actor, kind of like De Niro or Al Pacino. You know, you really take on the personality of the character that you're portraying, and that has helped me as a copywriter because really, what we're trying to do in writing copy is we want to enter in the conversation that's already going on in the head of our prospect, and being able to truly understand what keeps them up at night, what they worry about, what is important to them, where they live and breathe, you know, what is life like for them, is crucially important to create a message that resonates. So yes, my experience as an actor is extremely important and essential in what I do as a copywriter and as a marketer, to understand people, to really, you know, have empathy and sympathy and compassion, and uh, just know what it's like to walk in their shoes.
Now, how do you, I know that you try to delve into the minds of some of your prospects, but how big does storytelling play in direct response selling?
I think storytelling is probably the most effective um, element in selling because um, we love stories. You know, since the beginning of time, we've communicated with oral tradition and telling stories, and we resonate with those types of things. Um, but we can put ourselves into a situation through listening to a story. It allows us to get lost, and um, you know, nobody likes um, being sold to, but everybody loves buying and getting into a story, much like watching a movie, reading a book, attending a theatrical performance. It allows us to get lost in, you know, in theater they call it the suspension of disbelief. When you walk into a theater and you watch a production on stage, what you see, you have to allow yourself to believe that this is reality going on to get the full experience. Telling a story in marketing allows a person to get away from the fact that, hey, um, they're going to sell me something here. Now it's not about being sold. It's about what is the story? Where is this going? And all of our defenses go down. It allows the reader to relax and just experience with a level of delight or curiosity or fear or anticipation what's going to happen, where this is going to lead. But the key important element in storytelling is it engages us emotionally. And to be effective in our selling, we have to engage our audience emotionally.
Very nice.
I don't know if I answered the question
No,
clearly.
that's perfect. That is actually perfect. And I want to talk about, I think that consumers right now are overwhelmed. The internet over the last 15 years, and with social media, we've gotten to a point of information overload. So how does a marketer today try to get that attention of someone, whether or not they're looking for a product or not?
Well, you know, that's a really great question because even in my own work, you know, I'm watching some of the things that I used to do even 2 years ago that were massively effective. Because as you know, I've had some very high level clients. But the things that I've done even 2 years ago that were massively effective, um, in some cases, don't have any impact. So, but there is one thing that remains constant. Ever since I got into marketing, there's been an adage which is test, test, test. You know, as quote unquote marketing experts or somebody that you know has a degree of experience in marketing, people expect us to have like silver bullets or something like that. Well, don't always have a silver bullet, but here's what I do know. You have to find a way to cut through the noise and the distractions. And the way to do that is, to first of all, really understand the pain of your audience. Gary Halbert used to say something to me which was crucially important. He said, if you want to sell hamburgers, what's the most important thing that you need to have to sell them? And I don't remember what my answer was. A great recipe, delicious sauce, good location, I don't know. But, the key to that is really one thing: a hungry crowd. And not just hungry, starving. I'm up and walking now because apparently one of the dogs needs to go out. So sorry about that. But so back to your question, how do you get people's attention in this overstimulated environment that we're in? Is you have to, first of all, be in front of a starving crowd. Now, if you're marketing to the great unwashed masses, then your message needs to be really targeted to grab somebody's attention. And, a lot of that comes through experimentation, but a great degree of that comes from doing the right research and knowing your audience, understand what their pains are, what their problems are. Because what you have to do to grab somebody's attention is, first of all, be able to provide them with a solution to a problem that they have, or be able to guarantee a result for something that they are looking to achieve for themselves. Solve a problem or deliver a result.
You mentioned grab their attention, and you getting up, walking around the room is a pattern interrupt. It interrupted our thoughts and our you gave us a little micro tour of your house, but it interrupted what we were going to do. And, I think that plays a very crucial element in selling, your products or your services.
Yes, pattern interrupts are, crucial. I mean, Gary Halbert used to do that a lot. There were times Gary Halbert came and worked with Joe and I in office quite a few times at Piranha Marketing. And I remember one time we were having a meeting, and Gary just got up and started ranting about something, and we were all looking at him like, did the guy lose his mind? We just didn't know what was happening. And then afterwards he explained this. I don't remember if he used the term pattern interrupt, but his point was, you have to shock people out of their stupors. And so yes, a pattern interrupt is doing something that people do not expect in order to shock them out of whatever pattern of thinking or focus that they are in, so that they can see something different, experience something different.
Is mail campaigns, are they still as effective as they used to be, or has the cost of mailing a piece become too expensive for companies?
Oh, I would say that mailing campaigns are still very effective, and the effectiveness, what I've seen over the last 10, 12 years, has sort of ebbed and flowed. There was a period in early 2000, 2002, where email marketing was seemed to be gaining a lot of traction over direct mail, because everybody was into, oh look, email, you can send it free and cheap, right? Well, now, I mean, I must get 400 emails a day. Do you think I look at all of them? No. Quiet, dog. Another pattern interrupt.
See, you got my dog barking now. Thanks.
Our dogs are talking in the background here. We've got pattern interrupts going on all over the place. Okay, so back question. Yes, direct mail is still as effective. Is it as cost effective? In some cases, no. Again, we have to test. I mean, I have one of my clients, Dean Graziosi, he became extremely successful using television. And you know, we tried to make a move into direct mail with a couple different things, and they were effective, but we never really tested it on a bigger level because he was so comfortable and successful with television. And I guess what it boils down to is, you know, what are people paying attention to? So if you're in a business or in a niche where everybody is doing social media marketing, email marketing, and nobody is doing direct mail, then you have an opportunity there, you know, to seize that. The key is you have to do something compelling and exciting to get their attention, you know, and whether that is sending out a very personal old school letter that looks like it was, you know, handwritten, delivered from a friend, or a crazy hot pink postcard with all kinds of copy and pictures and stuff on it. You know, I don't know. It depends on your business, but there are very effective ways. Like, you know, the post office has a every door direct mail program, I think it's called, which you can deliver for like 17.5 cents a piece to a targeted area. That can be a very cost-effective way to do a 3-series postcard campaign with the right mail piece. So yeah, I think it's very effective in, you know, when done right and when done in the right areas.
You know, for those that are just catching up on this program, I'm in Pennsylvania. Tony is in Arizona. You know, it's very beautiful here today. You know, so I'm outside enjoying the weather for the first time in a while, and Tony doesn't like the heat or something because he's in his living room sitting on his couch, and yet earlier he was poolside. He said, "Oh, I hate this. This is just too much." Because I want to move to Pennsylvania.
No, it's not too bad. I think the landscapers were out there doing some. Let's see if they've stopped. Come on in, dog. Yeah, let's go outside for a minute. We'll see what it's like out here. I think it's it's only a balmy like 80 degrees. Yeah, there's some weed eating out there, folks. So we're just going to have to avoid that. My apologies.
Yeah,
try and
nice
walk. This is really an interesting Google Hangout. You know, walking around with dogs and come on. Here we go. Okay. Example after example of, we can call it pattern interrupt to try and make this seem really professional, but really it's just a lack of organization on my part.
And that's okay. You know, and you know, that's the joy of these Google Hangouts is that they can be fun, they can be different, you know, and they make us human, whether we want them to be or not. People can see the lighter side of us, and they get to understand who you are as a person. You know, it's not polished. I didn't put my makeup on today or do my hair. You know, it doesn't matter. You know, they get the real you.
If you want a really polished version of something, then, you know, you can buy something that I sell. You know, make sure all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, they look good, and everything's serious.
You know, it's all about the content, and I think that if anybody's listening, hopefully they do at least once. You'll get an idea of what Tony does, you know, and how he can make copy, you know, pop, you know, and the reader's going, you know, wow, you know, I know he's selling, you know, widgets, but I need to order 1,000 of them. I really don't need them, but you know, I just got to get them because Tony's the man. You know?
Yeah, well, you know, okay, let's talk to that point for a minute. So people want to do business with people that they like and trust, right? So you're coming into a market, say, you know, someone's watching, you're coming into a market and they don't really have any established credibility. So for me, I'm famous in a very small circle of people, right? Whereas my brother Joe, he's, you know, so somebody who doesn't, you know, who doesn't know anything about me, and they find my name when they're looking at a list of copywriters, not mean anything to them. But then when they find out, oh, This is Joe Polish's older brother. He was there and helped, start Piranha Marketing. Spent 6 years at Piranha Marketing, did 3,000 consultations, spoke, blah blah blah. Then I gained a little bit more credibility. But you know, the people that actually know me and like me want to do business with me because of that relationship. So how do you develop that? When you said Tony is the man, how do people know that I'm the man? They aren't going to know that I'm the man unless I provide them some value, right? That's the way that our world operates. So how do you provide value? How do you create credibility? Um, and I think the key there is, oftentimes people are going for the sale far too soon. I had recently had a lady that I met. Um, she teaches photography, and I don't want to give away too many details because I don't have her permission to talk about her. But one of the things, and a wonderful woman. I mean, really, really, just amazing. But she was explaining her problem to me, and I said, well, let me take a look at your website and see what you're doing. And when I looked at it, it was all, here's this amazing thing, buy this and you can start your own business and you're going to be successful. And it was very cold. It was very antiseptic. There was none of her personality. I mean, okay, number one, she's a mom. She's got like 6 kids. She started this business, back when she was on her 2nd kid. She's had multiple businesses that she's been successful at. She's an amazing wife, an amazing mother, but none of that personality was in there. So 2 things I want to get to here. Number one, I said, you know what you need to do, and her name is Amy. I said, Amy, you are not sharing any of who you are with your audience. No sense of the wonderful, beautiful, inspiring, interesting person who you are on your webpage. And number 2, you're asking for the wedding without going out on the first date. And I said, you have to warm people up. So in order for someone to believe that you're the man or the woman, number one, be authentically who you are. What is it about you that you bring to the world that people are going to latch onto? Don't be a chameleon, in my judgment. You don't want to try and be somebody to attract somebody. Let me rephrase that. You don't want to be somebody who you're not. Trying to pretend that you're somebody that you aren't is far different than faking it until you make it. Faking it until you make it is is portraying self-confidence and belief in who you are, even though you may not be where you want to be. But pretending that you're somebody that you're not is completely the wrong approach, because folks will see through that. So number one, be authentically who you are. Number 2, what can you offer people that will intrigue them and inspire them to take a look at what you have? Will that be a free report? Will that be a free video? Will it be a free webinar? Is it something that you can do without creating a big tail for yourself? In other words, it's going to require a lot of management, a lot of time for you to invest in. And the way to draw people to you is to give them some value. It's the principle of reciprocity that Cialdini talks about in his book. And I hope I covered that. I may have overtalked it. I'm running on a couple hours of sleep today, Rob. So, the ADD that's already present is really exacerbated. Hello, dogs. Yes, say hello to each other. Nice.
But it's all about trust creation. And, I tell people all the time, people need to know you, trust you, like you, before they even do business with you. It all comes down to, money is the byproduct, the trust creation. People aren't going to shell out their hard-earned dollars until they know you, until they believe in you. And You know, and that's, I think, going back to social media, is that, you know, marketers of old, let's just say, you know, those who were in direct response for a long, long time, and that's all they know, they move to this world of social media where it's, you know, shorter copy. You know, you're not trying to sell, you're trying to build a relationship, and some of them just don't know how to transition into this social media world.
Right?
You know, so that whole buildup of, you know, maybe they're used to these 6-page letters that they send out to build up that trust. Now they have to do it in, you know, maybe 100 different posts over social media over, you know, a 3-month time. You know, and to them, they want this instant gratification. They, you know, some people are like, my last 3 posts didn't work, I was supposed to make money. You know, social media is a relationship tool. It's a trust creation tool when used effectively. It's not a sales tool. Sales tool is secondary.
Yeah. Well, you know, Rob, when you talk about that, I think of the analogy of being a hunter or being a farmer. And, you know, in some cases, marketers can be hunters, where they go out and they spot their prey and they bag it, they tag it, and they bring it home. In social media, you know, I think what you have to think about is being a farmer. You know, you plant, you tend, you grow, you prune, you harvest, and that takes time. It's not something that, you know, happens overnight, and that's what you teach. You know, is um, how to build that over time, because social media is small, short tidbits of who you are and what you do, and you know, I mean, I'll give you a great example of that. I see hundreds and hundreds of compelling things on, let's just use Facebook as an example. Hundreds and hundreds of compelling things on Facebook that grab my attention. I may opt in because, you know, I'm like a marketing junkie. I opt into anything that's compelling. Us marketers are the best guys to sell to because we buy freaking everything. So I'll opt into dozens and dozens of these things, but then I'll lose interest very quickly. So right now, I'm probably on 12 people's email list that I opted in something on Facebook. I have absolutely no interest in who they are, or what they're doing. Um, and why is it? Because these people came out of there, they ran an ad on Facebook. The ad was compelling. It got my attention, but there's no farming done, and I'm far too busy to spend my time with all of these people. I have to focus on a few. So, does that make sense?
It does. And, you know, and you know, as you were talking, my dog was going crazy. I had to mute my uh, microphone. And,
Good
you know,
job.
I think, no, and I think that's an important lesson. Is sometimes, you know, those people, our audience, sometimes need to mute, you know, the speakers. They need to mute the microphone. Sometimes they don't want all that marketing message coming to them. They only want to focus on what they really want in their life at that moment. And, you know, going back at, you know, to us as direct response marketers, to those people who really know the game, we have to understand when our customers don't want to hear our message, or we need to present them with a new pattern interrupt to tell them, hey, we have that solution for your problem.
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
You know,
So
go
a
ahead.
couple of these people have done some really smart things. When they see that I'm not responding to any of their emails, um, two examples that I remember that actually did engage me. One was an email that said, you know, I've obviously failed you. That was the subject line. And what it did was it led to a survey. But the email said, you responded to a promotion that I ran on Facebook, and I'm paraphrasing this part. You responded to a promotion I did on Facebook, but I've noticed that you haven't engaged, taken advantage of any offers, or responded to very many, if any, of my emails. So if you could take 2 minutes to let me know, what attracted you to my offer and kept you from doing anything, I'd love it. So I went and took the survey. Really great re-engagement. Another one was kind of a spin-off of a concept I used myself a few years ago to try and re-engage people that weren't opening emails. And it was a very pissy email. And it said, "Get off my list, loser." That got my attention, right? An email like that. And I won't share the rest of the email with you, but so, I look at that thinking, who is this jerk, right? Telling me this. And then there was a very clever email inside that re-engaged me. And what intrigued me about that, and what engaged or got me re-engaged with this individual, was the fact that they used such a, what's a polite way to say this? They were unafraid to take a radical approach to getting my attention. And in some cases that's going to backfire, but in this particular case it worked well. So I forgot what my point was, but hopefully whoever got some value out of that.
I still think you're like the Gary Halbert, but without the curse words. Gary Halbert, bless his soul. I mean, he's been deceased for a couple of years, and he would pepper all his letters with curse words, to the point where it's like, am I reading this from Gary Halbert, or what comedian that uses the F word in just about everything, and it's Richard Pryor. And I was like, wow, marketers do this. Can you get away with it? Gary Halbert got away with a lot of things. Doesn't mean it was right, but here you are, not only an ethical, and I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that aren't ethical, but I think that when you're putting together copy, not only do you have to think about the ethical ramifications of what you're saying, but you're also trying to put together words that not only incite and compel and attract, but do so in a clean environment. Because, I think that no matter what, you still want your reputation to be out there, that you don't use those, curse words.
Well, yeah, and my copy has changed over the years. Early on in my career, I was much more inclined to write, profane things into the copy. But then, I made choices about who I wanted to write for and what kind of things I wanted to write for, because, I really want. I've got a proverb up on the wall in my office. A good reputation is better than silver and gold. And I made a lot of mistakes in my life. And as I've gotten older and I've learned, and my life has changed and my character has changed, I'm much more sensitive about what I put out in this world. And, I think there is a time and a place for using choice, colorful words in your copy. But you mentioned earlier, comedians a moment ago about, and some comedians that are probably very famous guys right now, whose names I won't mention, but they're really popular at the current moment, use lots of foul language in their comedy. And see, the great, not the great, but the reason that people, respond to that kind of language is because it's compelling, it's different, it's harsh. Well, I think it's also a cheap technique. Some of the greatest writers in the world, in history, have never used, a word above something as, as bad as maybe the word hell. So, yeah, I I don't want to rely on those types of techniques to be effective. Plus, I'd like to be able, to have my kids look at what dad's doing and work on projects and, at the end of the day, be able to go to bed and feel like I'm operating in integrity and doing things that line up with who I say I am. Um, Character is really about showing up, what you're like when nobody's watching. So you can still be compelling without being foul. And now, of course, if your market is, you're selling information on how to pick up women, then you're going to speak in a way that resonates with that kind of behavior. I'm not going to be the guy helping you with that because obviously I want to do things that I believe are honoring to just honoring to people in general, and I've got a spiritual belief that I walk with, and things that I that I believe should be edifying and honoring, and so. But it really depends on who you're talking to. Maybe you're talking to construction workers, and throwing in a dam or a hell or something else in your copy is going to be more appropriate. But it really goes back to what we said earlier in this conversation, which is know your audience and be able to enter into the conversation that's already going on in their head.
Well, Tony, I'm running out of time, and it was great, and I want to continue this down the road because there's just so much that that I think that you can teach others, not only in marketing, but when it comes down to how do we choose the right customers? But we'll leave that as another topic. How do people get a hold of you? If they want you to write their brilliant copy, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, if anybody wants to get a hold of me, they can just go to my Facebook page, which is Facebook.com/ABC TNT, or just type in abctnt.com. That'll take you to my Facebook page. If you really want to talk to me about writing your copy, my office number is 480-782-1687. And I do have a busy schedule. Delighted to talk to anybody about their project, and I'm really impressed with the stuff that you've done over the years, Rob. It's really exciting to see how you've become so excellent at what you do, and I love your books, and I love how you're impacting the world and helping people. So it's been a real pleasure to sit with you and talk today, man. I love you. You're awesome.